Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobby Richardson, and I will be your guide for today. Today, I'm going to channel some messages about spacecraft, spaceships. This actually came from a question from one of my followers. So this came from a lady called Nicole, and her question was, I've contemplated and decided the term of UFO is freaking out of date. Been pondering a fabulous new term. The experience is an explosion of the imagination. These ships are no longer UFOs. They are here. So for fun, could you ask them, or perhaps a question you could ask your followers? And then, so it started off with that, but in the end, I ended up getting all this other information about craft and what they're all about. So I'll get into that in a sec. Just to let you know, also I have a school called AMAKEL, and if you want to join that, the link is down below. It's Patreon school. There are some free games on there, intuitive games, telepathic games, and so forth. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm sure you guys will really enjoy it. So here we go. UFOs, like, so interesting that she's brought that up. But they also call it UAPs, and I looked that up, and it was unidentified aerial phenomena. And I'm like, it still says unidentified, right? Where a lot of us are starting to recognize these as their space brothers and sisters now. We're starting to understand there's a connection. There's a reason why they're there. There's a reason why they are in, like, paintings that were painted in 1700 and so forth, and 1600 and so forth. You know, there's like reason why there is like spacecraft looking things on carved into walls, and way back and so forth, or in the Egyptian temples and that sort of thing. There is just so much more to our connection to these things, to these so-called unidentified UFOs. Now, understandably, those that are asleep at the moment are going to only really know the UFO understanding of that, and meaning that there's something unusual out in the sky that they don't know what it's about. And so would you say, if you turned to them and said, hey, I saw something else, which I've got a couple of things written down here. OES would be off-Earth spacecrafts or spaceships. An ES would be extraterrestrial spaceships, or a UES would be unearthly spaceships. So yeah, I mean, if you turn around and said to them, hey, I saw a UES in the sky, they wouldn't understand, because it's not in their logical mind frame that, of what that actually means. So that's why it's a bit difficult for the transition to happen, where we start to change it into something that's more conducive to the actual off-Earth spacecraft. I started saying off-world, and then I'm like, that won't work either, because off-world would be, if you go to another world, what world is it off? That sort of thing. And because we're expanding our reality. Now, I'm sure something like this is going to catch on eventually, but we might just have to put up with that UFO if we want to actually, get the attention of those that aren't as fully aware as what we are. And we could maybe say UFO or extraterrestrial spaceships, that sort of thing. I don't know. But anyway, it's interesting. Now, I'm going to get into, though, because of that, all this channel message came through about the different kinds of spacecrafts that are out there. So I'm going to read out, I've actually last night channeled through a whole heap of stuff as well. So yeah, I'll read out some of these. They're all being pointed out, and in 5 different categories at the moment. For starters, before I go into the categories, they wanted to let us know that one can merge into the other and can be created from different aspects, depending. So I'll explain that maybe a little bit later on, after we actually talk about these different spacecraft. Hey, Sky, good to see you, and Yannicka. Love to see you there. I actually went live on Sunday, which is really unusual for me. So I'm not expecting a busy day in the chat bar because I went live on Sunday. Okay, here we go though. Physical craft. So that's the first one they pointed out because that was more of our home-based physical craft. Physical craft would be like rockets and that sort of thing. Those things made on Earth, but they are actually few and far between, as this type of craft is limited due to the fixed positioning of material making the whole of the vehicle and the combustion of fuel, which is heavy. So it's all physically based, and there's no etheric connection to our outside. How would we put that, guys? Sometimes they bring things through, and I've got to put it into English words. There's no connection to the soul, and so when there's no connection to the etherical essence of nature that goes beyond what a physical mind can understand, then it's a very limited concept, and it actually keeps us locked in so that we don't actually see or experience as much out in that, or meddle out in that, in the world of both physical and etheric. That is combination of that. Anyway, we'll go on to the next craft. So the next craft that they brought up, cool, some more people in my chat bar. Dedra, I hope I'm saying that right, and Margaret, very good to see you guys. So the next one that they brought up was huge mothercrafts. They are created to fly through space continuum as traveling cities, and although they are slower to travel unless they find a slipstream within the space, they can be slower, yeah. But they do find slipstreams, and then there is an intention that is created by where they're actually going by those that are piloting the ship, but it's more of a there is a massive community within those motherships, and people, they literally live there, like they live on their own creation of that ship, that traveling ship. They house many different species, creating communities of like-minded souls that love to travel as well as collaborate. Motherships usually hover around planets under a cloaked veil that mirrors the expected nature of those they are observing. Their base is from their home planet, or around a Dyson star. So where they come from is usually from, obviously, their home planet, or a Dyson star, which is a creation in itself. Dyson stars are pretty unique because they are Lyrans created the Dyson stars, and that is can be partial or whole. Circles that actually are created physically around a star, and so you've got this, instead of just a planet revolving, this whole ring that's evolving. Mostly it's not a whole ring. They say that's kind of like pretty hard to do, but it's usually like parts of a ring or a floating city out in an orbit of a star, that has been created as well. They call them Dyson stars because something to do with how they actually found them in the telescope was the fluctuation of the light. The star itself fluctuated, and they couldn't understand why. Something was like moving, and a really big thing was moving in front of it. They also have smaller scout ships that can land and are sent to investigate. So the motherships can literally morph into clouds and that sort of thing if they want to come into a lower atmosphere but not disturb those that are, under the veil or the illusion that spacecraft don't actually exist. Because, just like I think it's in Star Trek or something like that, they'll go around saying, we're not allowed to meddle. It's just also because it's for their protection as well, though. They say it's not just for our protection of meddling in something that's evolving, and humanity is evolving at the moment, but also for their protection, because if they end up getting caught in the matrix or the frequency alignment that is of an unbalanced nature on in humanity's consciousness, then if they crashed or something like that, they could literally be born as a human in their next life, because their soul was disrupted and they are pulled into the vortex of this unconscious mind. And if they weren't ready for that, then they can get stuck here. Um, there has been an account that has happened like that, where it was one of the extraterrestrial, I think it was something to do with the Mexican one. And then there was this man that was born. They're bringing me to this awareness of this video that I saw of a man that was born, and he just had white hair, white, everything was white, and he was very different. And he used to give talks. He would hold a big crystal and he would talk and he would say that he was actually a soul crashed in the New Mexico. Yeah, and he died in that, his soul actually died, departed that body of a grey, and then he ended up being born into humanoid next. So yeah, that's how they can get hooked in. Mm. So they tend to, the motherships will tend to stay in higher orbit or even further out, and they will always be just outside of our frequency awareness so that we don't really see them. It's like the particles that quantum physics found that were spinning, and then they would spin so fast that would just pop out of our existence because all of a sudden we couldn't see it, because it's just vibrating too fast. You can also see it when you see helicopter spiraling around, the thing at the top, I don't know what it's called, at the top, spiraling around. If it goes really fast, it looks like it's disappeared. This is really literally what happens. You can, if you do come into contact, obviously you can be burnt by it or hurt by it, but they can be in this invisible cloak as well through mimicking the natural surroundings as well. So that's the mother ships. They also have smaller scout ships that can land and are sent to investigate first. So yeah, and then we have the seamless spacecraft, which is number 3. It's pronounced Deidre. Okay, thank you, Deidre. Oh, thank you so much for that. Hey, Javia. Sorry, just reading off my chat bar. She's just helped me out with that pronunciation. Thank you. Really, my dyslexic brain cannot read names very well, so sorry about that. I'm definitely not good at that. Okay, so number 3 we have. I'm probably gonna like read these out and then start to channel more after this. But I wanted to do it in a compartmentalized way because that kind of gives us understanding logically, and then we will start in with some more channeling. So the seamless craft, they call it the seamless craft because it's made out of metals that flux and change shape depending on their movements. In other words, what they're actually doing, whether they're coming in for landing and all that sort of stuff, and who they're actually around, their surroundings. So they can morph into, and if you look at it, it looks like it's seamless. And then you're like, how can it be seamless? That sort of thing. And many of these are very much like the TARDIS from Doctor Who. If you walk in, the setting can seem a lot larger on the inside than what it is on the outer hull. It doesn't make sense, I know, to the logical brain, because the logical brain only is in a very fixed position on the physical world, but there is reason for it. This is also because of the thoughts of those who pilot the craft also have the ability to hold their own reality as they see fit. So they can create what seems like more space than what seems physically possible. So yeah, it's held in the imaginations of those that are collectively come together, and they've created this kind of like a vortex of where they seemingly are in a ship, and usually they keep showing me just white for some reason, where it can actually morph to the um, the tunnels, and that can morph to. They said one of the biggest correct scenarios of this is if you go to one of the end movies of Taken by Steven Spielberg. They actually enter a ship, and then they are caught within their own minds, but also the minds of the extraterrestrials that are holding space for those that have entered the ship. And so they have this go between of it looks metal, and then there's just white rooms, and then their imaginations come to truth, come real, and they start to see people that they were like, how did you even get in the ship, and that sort of thing. It can be quite a mind bender because the mind that is unbalanced, a mind that is unbalanced, walking into one of those crafts could literally go crazy because they aren't prepared for the expansion that they are going to move into. So they are very aware of this, and for the benevolent beings, and cautious of who they allow in. Yeah, it's really interesting. In other words, so yeah, if their souls can be, okay, yeah, I just jumped there. These ships can also travel through interdimensions by aligning with the frequencies needed, but are limited to the soul's awareness of those who pilot. In other words, if their souls can only remember the fifth dimension, then that would be their limit. This is why humanity has a limit or on their ability to travel, because they have forgotten their soul completely, like really stuck in their physical world. Although there are those humans who work more closely with off-world beings and have expanded their wisdom through this interaction, but the mainstream is still to find out about them. So here we are with some sort of secret that they were telling me about, that there are like humans that have been literally up leveled and working with extraterrestrials on bases and stuff like that. But their soul was prepared and ready for, that expansion, and they needed that bridge too. So there's a bridge for those that are rising up out of the unbalanced state of mind into expansion. So when they get there, they're like, oh, there's another human over there. Yay. They don't feel like, oh my God, they're just the first one. These ships often seek folds within space-time continuum to travel great distances as well. So they are the seamless ones are also going to be tiny, and they can also come off the motherships as well. So yeah, that's and they can also be, where are you going with this? A combination of the many ships that we're talking about. I think we'll just leave it at that at the moment. I'm freezing up. Oh no. I hope this goes through okay. Sorry about that if I am freezing. I'm not on my side. I just look normal to me. So sorry about that. Weird, eh? Maybe because I'm bringing through some of this information that's not supposed to be anyway talked about. Too bad. How sad. We'll keep going. Okay, the next ship that they're talking about that they brought up was the organic spacecraft. Your phone over there, Sky? Good there? Okay, Nicole. Wow, that's so weird because Nicole was the one that actually asked for this. If you came on at the beginning, Nicole, I actually said your question. Your question inspired me for this video. So weird that yours is freezing up, right? Anyways, okay, here we go. So number 4 is the organic spacecraft. They are crafts created also they are crafts created by a convergence of souls that gathered to become the living vehicle of a species that use that craft to travel interdimensionally. Wow. So, yeah, these traveler souls are quite happy to stay as a fixed organic craft as they get to adventure to many sectors of space and provide those who travel with an amazing experience as well. So, literally, they're sort of like, I'm going to be born into, converge with other souls to become a craft, and we will house many. It's so interesting, and it is literally a living entity within itself, and it has this very strong connection to those that reside within it, and so that is another craft that can come in as well. Because they have the ability to converge and meet as one, as a specific craft. They also have the ability to teleport and all sorts of other things as well. So all of a sudden you have the teleportation coming through too. And that is seeing yourself not in this locale anymore, but imagining yourself into another locale somewhere out in space. But they can only go to places or spaces that their souls collectively understand, unless they are taken by another ship that knows of another space and they follow or let go enough to trust that other ship or organic ship or whatever it is to move into another space. Teleporting, I'm talking about. Yeah, so they have that ability too. That's what's coming through. This can all of this is, they're showing me a figure of eight. It kind of, there's emergence of all of these ships. It's not, but we have to, we've just compartmentalized it to get a fuller awareness. Yeah. So the next one I brought up was interdimensional craft. These are a frequency craft, and they're piloted by those who can morph from light to physical body, whose souls gather with an intention to travel to the same place in space. Through the convergence of them coming together, can operate through space and time, aligning them with wherever they want to go. They can merge into light balls, crafts, or humanoids. This is why they can seemingly separate into three lights in the sky and then come together as one huge spaceship. So that's a really interesting one, interdimensional crafts, they call that. So yeah, these are high-end beings that have can understand many different dimensions, and so with that they can change and morph and change into from like, they use the anion particle, they're bringing up the anion particles that my 3-year-old daughter talked to me about. When she was 3, she brought up the anions, which are particles that reside between light and material, or fermion and boson, and it can flip in and out. It's literally like a living pineal gland or a soul that just is in that frequency, which also brings us to the next one. I will maybe talk about that one a little bit more. I'm just wondering whether I should now, before I lose. Oh, no, we'll go on to the next one and then we might go back. Okay, sorry, having discussions. Number 6 is a geometric cymatic craft. Now, this was really interesting because this was just as I was going to sleep. So I was nearly asleep, and all of a sudden this other craft popped in my head. So I literally had to be in an alpha state to be able to receive this message. I mean, when I'm receiving messages, I'm pretty much in an alpha state anyway, but going even deeper. And they said, and it appeared as a geometrical shape, and it can appear in the sky as a geometrical shape. Um, these shapes morph in and out of frequency by changing shapes to suit the, now this word I don't know much about, metamorphic fields of existence in which they want to be seen or felt in. So that was interesting. These shapes morph in and out of frequencies by changing shapes to suit the metamorphic fields of existence in which they want to be seen or felt in. They are awareness. They are awareness. They didn't call them, they just called them awareness that sees realities as something like an observer looking through a magnifying glass and can jump in and out of dimensional time and space by aligning with what they seek. I mean, some of the other crafts can do that too, but this is a difficult reality to share about and understand for a humanoid that is limited within only a physical world as they go beyond even an interdimensional experience. So yeah, there's only so much that I can kind of bring through with that because it's literally gone beyond anyone's comprehension that is as a humanoid. But they have this awareness, so uh, um, they are alive, so to speak. What's alive, right? I'm trying to find another word for that. But they do have an awareness, and I'm just asking, why would they come to Earth if, because of this transformation that we're going through, they are curious about how this is going to actually take place. There's a lot that are actually out there at the moment that are curious. There are those that are out there at the moment that are actually wanting to contact or communicate with others that are on Earth. And so you might have seen sightings and so forth of these special craft that are coming to Earth specifically to communicate again with those souls that left their frequency to come into a humanoid form to raise the vibration from the inside out and pull through a whole heap of humans into the more balanced situation. And so there's those that are around. It's funny because it's a space-time continuum. We would think in our physical terms, oh my God, there won't be enough space for all of those people, and we're only a little planet. But because it's a space-time continuum, it's a different scenario of understanding when there's an awareness. They are aware of many others that are around as well. It's literally like eyeballs are on us. Okay, eyeballs are on us through their observation because they are actually learning something from this. There's a value from their soul's aspect of how this is actually progressing, because then they can take that value of seeing this work, and they know it works because some of them that are, especially these geometric somatic crafts, the actual they know it works because they know of what is actually already taken place. So when they pinpoint into this lesson, they're saying it's like a lesson of coming back into this time reference of when humanity broke through the limited concept of who they were as a stagnant, limited, logical, physical being, and into the vortex of expansion of seeing past the veil of that limitation. There's something that was so profound that had happened, because I don't even know if it had happened before, and that's due to many souls who usually would help another planet lift their vibration by being the etheric wisdom that comes through and gives awareness that way. Many souls decided to actually be born in the physical form, and because humanity was so stuck, and so it was like a bigger leap uh, they're showing me like a bigger leap, and yeah, so there was this bigger leap that happened between humanity, yeah, and where we were going. And then they can use those, sorry, they can use those lessons. I was a bit distracted then. I felt like someone was watching. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so I'm trying to be honest with you guys as I do this. So yeah, they were. I just got to get my thoughts back into this. What they were trying to say. They were learning a lot. They were learning a big lesson at the moment, because then they can take that information of how this actually worked and know that they can help others that are really fixed in a situation of darkness, and a limited expression of themselves, to free them as well. So those geometrical cymatic patterns that are seen as the observers or awarenesses of us at the moment are actually learning how to help, how to gather information, and then they will go around to other humanoid beings and plant information through through the frequency alignment. So within humanity's consciousness, the pineal gland, but other beings that could help shift others as well. I'm diverging a bit, but it's okay. Yeah, it gets quite deep. It gets quite deep. You didn't know there were so many, Nicole? This is actually just a few. They were telling me at the beginning, this is something that could bridge humanity's awareness to expanding into an understanding of more. This is why when we look at the skies and say we see so-called UFOs, whatever you want to call them. I mean, what did I call them at the beginning when I went into that for Nicole's question? The extraterrestrial spacecraft, off-Earth spacecraft. Anyways, yeah, there's so many more out there that, but we had to compartmentalize. They said we have to compartmentalize to bridge a gap for humanity so that we can have a better understanding of what's going on out there that's beyond our comprehension at the moment. So yeah, that's right. That's where I was going. So the reason why we see these different kind of spacecrafts that are in the sky, some of them, if you look at videos, footages, it's like lights that are morphing in and out. They're showing me a video that they took me to many years ago. And it was of 2D flatland. And when Dr. Fred Alan Wolf described 2D flatland, when a 3D dimensional being put his finger on a flat piece of paper like that, it looked like something just went woo in their experience and then disappeared when it lifted out. So when it goes in, it looks like just this, and then lifts out. Well, same goes for the other dimensional spacecrafts and stuff like that. So you might only be seeing a partial spacecraft, and then it's like, well, we don't. What does it even mean? Like that. That's it was like this morphy thing that ended up coming into an actual spacecraft. And also spacecraft have they have always matched the frequency of the mind of those that were watching. So in other words, when the Pleiadians actually contacted, there was a guy that they contacted many years ago in the 60s and 50s and 60s. When they contacted in that era, then because of the way that humanity's minds were working, then they literally looked like 60 spacecraft. And then as we have expanded our awareness, and now we've even got AI, right? So it's actually expanding ourselves even more and understanding that we can, our imagination can just go, um, then so too does the craft look more intricate. And so that's why it looks like an evolution with the spacecrafts through the photographs that were taken, because they were always matching those because they didn't want to frighten them with too much information. So that was another thing they wanted to pull through as well. Yeah. They have this super awareness of where humanity is because they need to do that, otherwise they will mess this up, and they know that this is a very valuable transformation for humanity's consciousness. They don't want to mess anything up either. Um, is there anything else that's coming through about the spacecraft? Yeah, so they're definitely showing me those 3 lights or 4 lights or 5 lights, and then you see them coming together, boom, all of a sudden they are a spacecraft. That is those interdimensional spacecraft. That's an interdimensional one. So they have the capability of literally contacting humanity through telepathy as well. They have the capability of coming on Earth as what might be called a space ball, Minmin ball, Minmins. Can they're also showing me there's also Earth spacecraft from the etheric world on Earth. This is getting way out there, but I'm already way out there. But anyway, they're showing me Minmins can be the those that are interdimensional coming on Earth as these light balls, and they can also be something that comes from Earth, where it is a intelligence of something on Earth that has transmuted or transformed into being able to travel and experience more than their locale position. And they're actually showing me rocks. So it's really interesting. They said that there was somebody that actually shot one in USA, a Min ball, and it ended up just being this rock that they found. Okay, well, anyway, there's all these different types. So I'm trying to hone in with this because it's almost like my team could give me so much information, but I need to also have my logical brain catch up to it, right? To be able to help you guys understand what I'm actually receiving here. And I don't want to get too far in advance and then lose myself and lose you guys. Mm, yeah. Sky. I saw a geometrical craft in my dream. They looked like very intricate black gold Merkaba shaped craft. Yeah, wow. That's so cool. So they can also they're telling me, see, some of these things they merge. Sometimes they have this pivotal point within them where they can use the experience of another, of like all of these points. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crafts, different crafts here. All of them can merge and be part of different ones. So it's not just as linear as the mind thinks. And so, yeah, a really interesting, Sky. Unbelievable information, so profound. Thank you. Yannicka, here in Colorado, I see ships hidden within the clouds. Saw one recently too. Yeah, I've seen them as well. And I've seen clouds that have a pulsing light within them, that sort of thing as well. I mean, I've also seen one of my experiences was really amazing where I'd had contact. So I'd already had contact anyway. So I knew that these beings were around. This is back in the day where I saw a lot of things. And my daughters and I used to just go out in the car park outside of our house and then pull out our mattress and watch the skies at nighttime. And this is when they were young. And we saw a fog. It was just a straight fog. It was like coming lower, though. It was really interesting. It was night, but you could see this fog coming lower. And it was like, this is really weird, a weird fog. And then it ended up um, kind of converging into just a rectangle in the sky, a massive one that reached from one side of the sky to the other, and it was just this pure rectangle. So it was kind of like, when a torch or light shines into the night sky and you have that sort of look about it. It was kind of like a that, but there was nothing coming from, how light will go like that. You'll see an actual point of light, a reference where the light comes from, and then it goes out to a triangle kind of a thing. But this was just a pure rectangle hovering in the sky of this kind of fog or light or something. It was just sitting there, and I'm like, this is unusual. This isn't right, because it was like a cloud in the sky that was completely pure rectangle. So bizarre. So it was like coming into our frequency, and it wanted to get our attention, or my attention. And then I slowly saw it morph into that sort of shape of a like a what would you call it, meteor or something, coming into a comet, coming into our frequency. Started to morph into that, where there was a light point reference at the beginning of it, moving, and it started to move across the sky. And the next day, the news actually photographed it. It was in one of the local papers, but they only photographed it as that, because that's all that they could comprehend. They didn't see it like I saw it, how it morphed from this rectangle into that. So, see, they can kind of disguise themselves, and they will only show up for those people. They're very because I've already put in their vortex of who they want to grab attention to. They would have already set that as an intention, and so the manifestation comes into physical, or manifesting, as in something you could see, for those that it was intended to see it only. And because I was already getting a lot of communication and visitations at that stage, I think this was in 2015, somewhere around there, and I was getting a lot around that time. They said they wanted to tell me that's how protected you are. So that's cool. Because I went to bed, and I saw on my clock 333, and it said you're really protected. So I'm like, okay, they're just showing up to say I'm really protected with this information, because I was getting a lot about other stuff as well at that time. So yeah, I mean, I've had quite a few different experiences, but whether I go into all of them, holy wow. Usually Yanaka says usually the clouds have a rainbow effect when I see the ships within. Yeah, there's different reasons for the clouds to have rainbows too. It could be that the stuff they're actually pumping into the sky, like the powers that are in charge at the moment, are pumping stuff into the skies, and it's actually affecting the clouds into these rainbow, um, um, where the molecules are hitting the stuff that they're actually throwing in the sky, and then it's ending up creating rainbow clouds. Because the big rainbow clouds didn't actually happen until that started happening, but they do have. They said that they have got rainbows if the ship starts to materialize a little bit more in the cloud, that can also give the effect of a rainbow too. So just be aware that there's different reasons for things. Don't be so uh, dogmatic in, well, that is an absolute for that, because there could be different reasons for things. It's not always a straight line here. When we're coming into this expansion of our awareness, we have to take into account the truth of where things have actually been created. And so they want us to be aware that it could be one or the other. It could be, I don't want to say the word because I might get taken down, but the stuff that they're actually pumping into the atmosphere is actually reflecting off and creating rainbows. They showed me that premonition, that they showed me a dream, that in a dream or a premonition dream, a few years before it actually happened, and before they started with pumping that stuff in the atmosphere. Before that, we didn't have hardly any rainbow clouds at all, and they showed me that that was when humanity's consciousness was going to have to raise another level of awareness up. Yeah, so pretty cool. Let's read some more of these. Grace, my son and I saw a white globe move towards us and slowly transform into a fluid rainbow ribbon that seemed to be alive. It also, I can't understand that word variant. It might be a bit of a mistake. Idea of what we saw slowly. I don't know what that actually means, but yeah. What we witnessed happening at night. My son and I saw a globe move towards us and slowly transform into fluid. That's interesting. I've actually seen, beings that were morphing. They morphed into a rainbow sphere. What we saw, a white globe. I'm just tapping into that, Grace, for you and seeing if I can get any more information for you. A white globe moved towards us and slowly transformed into a fluid rainbow that seemed to be alive. Okay, they're taking me to really interesting, and then it slowly vanished. They're actually taking me to. This is weird. They're taking me to. I don't even know how to put this without seeming a little out there. They're taking me to the essence of a river. It's like morphing into like a dragon sphere or ribbon. See, they're saying that as we start to expand our reality, we can actually start to see the movements or traveling movements of that which we thought was fixed, because it has a consciousness within itself and wants to seek where it's going to go in a physical way. And so it becomes some sort of uh, etheric or light form, and then it moved into the colors as it become a stream. It was bouncing off the colors of the atmosphere. It was something to do with that, but it was actually going to return back to. They're talking about the legends of the Japanese legends and stuff like that, where they talk of rivers becoming dragons and that sort of thing. So see, there's a lot more to do with it. A UFO or an unidentified flying object might not always come from outer space. It can also come from Earth itself. This is why when we start to really get into this and start to see we are starting to see some of this stuff, right? And it can be quite mind-blowing. They're bringing me to when I was working with the elder. she would only take specific people when she was going to do something that was really unusual, like some really weird thing was going to happen with her. She would only align with specific people that she knew their souls could handle it. She knew that their awareness, their, who they were, could handle it. And the rest of them, she would move away from because she knew that she would blow their minds. Their minds would be blown out of the water, so to speak. And then they would go crazy, and that wouldn't help anyone. And so, with this how we're expanding into more, we're trying to take it slowly with us, so that, but there is going to be a lot more understanding or truth in things that we thought weren't for real. There's going to be a lot more understanding, and yeah, it's going to be really interesting as we go. Seems to move like a river, Grace. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's really interesting what they were showing me. Now I want to be as honest as I can with how they're actually bringing this up, so that they actually are showing me too, like there's sparks of consciousness within the forest, and you might even see them like spark, like little bits of lightning within forests and stuff like that. Convergence of elementals and stuff like that as well. So there's just so much more to this reality. But going on, when we started off with off-planet craft, and then we're coming into like grounded, more earthly craft as well. Min balls can be both. Depending on, because humanity's consciousness couldn't understand or separate any story other than they saw a ball of light, and so they just called all balls of light min balls. And that, well, I think that was named by the Aboriginals or the Australian originals here in Australia, and they had more of an awareness and understanding of what they were talking about and where it was all coming from, and they had specific ones that would align, that would come from caves or come from Earth, the South, and they knew that. Even in the future, they're saying humans will be able to morph into more, and that's why, like, the first step would be astral traveling. Then the next step would be astral traveling in dreams, and then remote viewing while you're aware, and then teleportation, and then actually morphing into something that frees them up even more. So the more expanded they get, the more freer they get as well. Just seeing if there's anything else coming through about the ships and stuff as well. Wondering. Good morning, Liz. Good to see you in the chat bar. Good to see everybody. Grace, the reason why you actually saw that is because they wanted you to see it. So just remember the importance in that, because it's actually was bringing you into an expansive awareness of yourself and understanding Mother Earth in an intricate, in a more alignment with your soul of who you are as well. So there's something there. Okay. Anything else that's coming out through with the ships, though? We're going to see a lot more, for sure. There's going to be a lot of confusion. The confusion comes from us not trusting our own intuition. So when you don't trust your intuition, then there's going to be a lot of confusion of believing in things that were created by AI or something like that. And aren't even real, or created by a human that isn't, just not even real. And so we are being taught at this very moment to to learn to use our intuition through this. And please don't get down on yourself if you are wrong. I mean, even I have been wrong in certain, usually I get a real feeling now, pretty much a straight up feeling, but there has been on the odd occasion where I have even, had a blockage through that. I didn't, I did get it wrong. I'm not going to deny it. It's been a while though since that's happened. But as we learn what feels wrong and what feels right, we will be learning how to ride our intuition or understand our intuition a lot more. Then the trust comes from us. And so it doesn't matter if someone tries to pull the wool over your eyes. You'll always get that niggly feeling within yourself, and you will be able to trust your body's reaction, your own reaction towards what is trying to deceive you. And so you are already risen above the deception, and so you can then just move away from it. Don't even give it any attention. So this is one of the lessons that humanity is going through at the moment. There's only one person you need to trust, and that's yourself. And then you trust all because you know who you are. So yeah, I think I will leave it at that, guys. Yes, that was pretty profound in the end. A lot of information about the ships. I'm sure that more is going to come through. And I have a funny feeling like they're showing me there's going to be an upcoming something that I will be doing a talk on. So that's interesting that they said that. An upcoming ship or something that is going to be seen, that I will be doing a talk on. Okay. Or maybe it's next month, maybe it's next year. I don't know, but that's what they're leaving me with. So there's more information coming. And also to talk about the experiences that I've already had as well, because there's quite a few of those too. So we might do another talk on this if everybody loves this sort of thing. I know I do. Okay, guys, until next time, see ya. Bye.